Heaven's only true religion. Love is the first heavenly religion. Love is the first heavenly key. If God is love, then heaven has only one religion. Being in love, imagine there are no ugly people in the world. Just those who are in love and those who are not. When we think about marriage, we reflect on our parents and how two people who started off with little means were able to acquire a lot because every down payment was made with love. We remember our childhood baby-faced crushes with imaginary people as they appeared in our minds and in our dreams. Children have fonder memories of marriage long before adults ever will. We remember our teenage years and how we became adults, moving away from the house that we grew up in, sometimes on the best of terms and sometimes not. It's like a bird teaching their young how to fly. And when we fall in love, we thank our parents for it. We remember growing up with family and friends who are no longer with us. We learn the nature and beauty of fear and how it initiates us into trusting each other. We learn fear because we are letting a part of ourselves go, as our mate is helping us create something new within ourselves that is not ruled by divine love. We no longer live in sin. We think about these things because a part of us dies when we say, I do. Since God is love, heaven has only one true religion, being in love. I've been waiting to tell you this for more than 1,000 years. I am that inner voice that listened to your tears as a child. How well do we remember our childhood dreams of how great a life it could be? As long as we have our family and a loving spouse with us in the same house. You were not even in grade school at the time of your first romantic thoughts, and I too was waiting patiently in some other world, hoping that my imagination is not a dream. If God is love, then heaven has only one religion, being in love. We walked through each experience of life like an enchanted place where the sun shines in the midst of an eternal night, hoping that the voice in our head will one day take physical form, a distant lover that we have never met before, but inwardly we know they are alive during our lifetime. Yes, some dreams do come true. I have had sex many times before, but I was still a virgin until we made love for the first time. When will I meet you? Our coincidences connect us together like accidents obeying the law. A heart that is scorned can never appreciate the beauty of the world that it lives in. Each experience becomes a prison for the soul as they refuse to work for their happiness. Although they believe that marriage is divine, the media told them that it was old-fashioned, and a great number of them were seduced. If you look into my heart, you will understand that marriage is not something that was meant to be arbitrated by the state, but certified in the same way that Mother Nature speaks to us through things that are natural. It has always been official for me. So when I gave you this ring, know that it is from all the beauty that you have procured in my heart. Wear it like a key. Let it help you resolve the mysteries of the world. Hold on to it when you read these words and know that it is my proposal to you. You have inspired me beyond my own fantasies. My yes is based on the consistency in what I am saying. If God is love, then heaven has only one religion: being in love. People value feeling important with others around them. But when they are alone, race doesn't exist. You came into this world by yourself, and by yourself is the race you truly are. If you can show me a group of people that can live on a planet other than Earth, I can show you what race really means. Culture does hold validity in an oral history of a particular group of people, but if it is used to separate a group of people from the rest of the world, it is racism. How can you look at a person How can you look at a person that you never met before and wish that they didn't exist? Can strangers scare each other in the beginning and still look beyond what instilled fear in them? You should have seen the reaction that an interracial couple received from other people on the train yesterday. Don't you know what staring means? It was the look that you give to an actor who had a convincing role in a controversial film. It's not exactly a happy stare, just one of intense curiosity. Why isn't racism a treatable psychological disorder in the field of medicine? Everything else is. Were we ever just one big happy human family? When there wasn't a race, there were tribes. When there wasn't a tribe, there were families. When there wasn't a family, there was man and woman. We are a nation within a nation. We are a people within a people, and we adopt this ideology for ourselves. We are truly fragmented. Most people are mistaken by the concept of an interracial marriage. If an African man has a European surname and marries a woman of European descent, it is not an interracial marriage, since the man comes in the name of the woman's European ancestors. In order for a marriage to truly be an interracial one, both the man and the woman must come in their own name, regardless of the different physical characteristics involved. It's all real. People are accustomed to sectioning themselves off into neighborhoods based on similar physical characteristics, yet they still suffer from the human experience. People can do whatever they want to do and will never rule the world. Come on. Who do you think you're fooling? Do you really believe that the people who control this world really care about what race you are identified with? Just as long as you're spending your money the way they tell you to. If you're following their instructions on how you should live your life, let me tell you how they are really living. They descend down from the astral realm and possess human bodies. Since they have greater ability than human beings do, being able to use their entire brain, life for them is truly a paradise. You still don't get it, do you? These beings created specific human shells so that they can enjoy certain experiences, performing heroic deeds in various races. It's not them, it's you, but you still don't get it. You don't exist. If you see the Buddha on the road, slay him. We can even say it scientifically. Human beings don't use a large part of their brain. You don't exist. You do not exist. Some of you just keep running around petitioning every politician like they're your mommy and daddy, crying about the use of a racial slur. Billy hit me. The only way a racial slur can offend you is if you believe it defines you. If you shout the word nigga in a crowded room, it may start a fire depending not on where you are, but who you are. Try walking into a synagogue and using the word Jaime. while reading the Torah aloud. Some people will get offended by the use of this word, and others will not. Racial slurs seem to create a reaction in the very same people who deny that these terms define them. This is true of all races, or should I say racists. Learn that you're the only one that can lift the chains of misfortune off of your experience. Learn patience, learn love, learn forgiveness. Never imitate a racist, or you will catch the disease. First, they were enslaving and killing all sorts of people. That eased up a lot through the efforts of some very brave people. It came up again a little bit later, but it wasn't as intense as slavery. It was in the form of segregation. People actually died because they were promoting the idea that families of all walks of life could enjoy a meal together in the same restaurant. Now, I don't know if the Pilgrims and Indians actually had dinner together all those centuries ago. What I do know is that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made it possible for the descendants of the Indians and Pilgrims to actually be able to sit down in the same restaurant and have a meal together. Therefore, we should celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday and call it a day. Victims can only rise up when they remember who they were before the crime was committed. Today, it's about racial slurs and militia groups. So the rehabilitation process is slowly occurring. If you remember slavery in America, then you should remember when the Moors invaded Europe, and you will see that you are exactly alike, which is why you cannot get along. It's either the red coats versus the blue coats or the Bloods versus the Crips. Exactly! Exclamation mark. On the other side of the coin, we have Mr. Corporate America. This is the same dude that doesn't speak to those other people when his peers are around. He will ignore you. He's that dude that auditioned for the Brady Bunch back in college, and now he is a business tycoon. He is everything that we dream of being, but can't stand to see in public. When you say hello to him, he ignores you, unless he is in the company of those other people. And that's when he responds to your greeting out of fear after searching you out. After 200 years of living together, he still doesn't know how to approach you. And because of such, he sounds just as ignorant as the people who he believes are inferior to him. His fear reveals his prejudice. Am I going to be the only white person at the wedding reception? No, other human beings will be there. Just be happy that you are invited. If you find his behavior offensive, just remember not to take it personally. He is just showing you how controlled he really is. In the midst of all this, a miracle occurs. There is something that overcomes him, something that takes over his soul. He hears James Brown for the first time. Now he is surrounded by those other people at a wedding reception. He spends the entire night on the dance floor, bent over, half drunk, stoned from the chicken and collard greens, hopping on one foot because he is unable to properly execute the two-step dance. Soulful melodies fall from his lips in a drunkard fashion, like a spiral staircase. Yeah, he's that dude. Today, this same man will tell you that he had the time of his life at the wedding with all those other people. However, when you see him at work surrounded by people from his race, he will ignore you. He is enslaved by his own fear. Race and racism are inseparable. They are two sides of the same coin. As long as you have one, you will have the other. It is amazing how both of them can exist in the same place at the same time. And as long as these things exist, human beings will always be on the brink of self-destruction. They are a distraction from what should be the priority of every human being living on the planet, which is ensuring the Earth's ability to sustain life. Everyone is walking around these days talking about how they are working to create a better future for their children. Well, that can't happen if the Earth is unable to support human life any longer. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. This should be the priority of everyone living on the planet, and this is how race and racism can end. If you really care about your children's future or your own, then you should spend a little time each day contributing to the health of the planet. How could you say that you love yourself or your children, for that matter, living with them in the world during a time of impending global disaster and not participate in the rehabilitation of the earth? Are you wondering just to catch a swallow of what life has to offer when paradise could be here every day? Well, that can't happen if the earth is not able to sustain human life. This doesn't mean that you have to subscribe to some environmental organization. Just show a little affection towards nature. Don't complicate things if you still have some issues with race and someone from another race is walking towards you on the street. Don't breathe fear into the situation by grabbing your purse or casting a gorilla stare. Use the opportunity to say something nice to one of the trees. Maybe whistle back at the birds. Save a few leftovers from the last night's dinner and take it to the park and bury it in the ground. Spend a little time each day learning new ways to promote Earth's ability to sustain human life. This may mean going to the library and learning how plant life affects our environment and seeing if the plant life in your area is adequate enough to suit the human need. Now, if everyone spent a little time doing this every day, issues concerning race would gradually dissolve. If Earth's atmosphere is no longer capable of sustaining human life, then none of us would survive, regardless of what race we say we are. You can say that you believe in aliens or some sort of deity's great return, but if there was an alien, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. You don't use most of your brain. These aliens would probably have human beings believing that they don't exist. This would give aliens an easy way to create division among men. Human beings would begin to hate each other for silly reasons. All the plants and animals are doing their part in caring for the earth. The exception is man. He is not the most intelligent earthling. He is the most sinister. The majority of people living on this planet care nothing about preserving the earth. They are too busy anticipating the return of some benevolent deity who they believe created a man to care for the earth. What a perfect plan for self-destruction. The funny thing about all of this is that people look to blame the devil or some supernatural force for all of Earth's problems, when the main culprit is man. Now you want someone else to solve the mess that you created? I'm not coming to your house to clean up after you. Yeah, people can attend political rallies to elect new presidents. They can dedicate their life to civil rights or some religious endeavor, but what good is any of these things if you can't live on Earth? Race is not only an illusion, it's a distraction. We are an organism within a planet, within a galaxy, within a universe. I'm only sleeping. Take pride in creating a reputation as a people for prioritizing the beauty of the earth. After you make it a habit of spending some time contributing to Earth's preservation, know that you are also taking steps towards self-preservation. Compete over these things, and in that you will make heaven on earth.